Welcome, combatants, to the Crystal Coliseum. Here you will learn how to play the exciting new trading card game, Warriors of the Crystal. In this video, we'll walk through the basics of how to play. This may not cover everything in great detail, and is supposed to be a quick overview, so remember to consult the rulebook. Your objective? Defeat your opponent's class cards and reduce their battle points to 0. If your battle points are depleted, you are out of the game. Let's dive into the various card types, beginning with the class cards. These are the combatants that will do battle for you on the field and are colored red. Once placed on the field, they cannot be removed. Choosing which class cards you bring into battle is key to any winning strategy. Each class card will either be a warrior, a mage, or a dual type. These indicate which combat cards a particular class card can use. More on that soon. Each class card has a unique class ability. These can be triggered during specific phases during battle, and are noted on the cards here. Some may even be always active and go into effect the moment the class card is placed into battle. Class abilities may also incur a mana cost to activate. That is notated by the number here. Class cards have hit points, referred to as HP, and power, referred to as PWR. The former dictates how much damage a class card can take, and the latter denotes how much damage it can inflict without modifiers. If your class card's HP reaches 0, it is defeated. Its HP total will then be deducted from your battle points. Combat cards are the special attacks and spells a class card can wield during battle. All combat cards are colored black. Like class cards, they are denoted into warrior, mage, or dual type. For a class card to use a combat card in battle, they must match. Dual type class cards can use both warrior and mage type. Inversely, all class cards can use dual type combat cards. Make sure you have the right match to use the correct cards. The mana cost here determines how much mana is required to use the combat card, and here's how many targets it affects. In games with more than 2 people, combat cards can only affect one player's party. Here's the amount of damage inflicted. The plus number shown here is added to the class card's power to determine base damage before modifiers. For example, this class card's power is 10, and this combat card inflicts plus 5 HP of damage for a total of 15. Below, if it has a secondary effect, it will be noted here. Finally, if the card has an elemental affinity, it'll show here. Essence cards are summoned beasts that can strike for massive damage. These are colored orange. Here and here, just like in combat cards, you'll find the mana cost and target range. Damage inflicted and secondary effects will be located here, and if there's an element associated with it, you'll find it here. Any class card can use any essence card in battle, but you can only play one per turn, so make it count. The blue cards are alter cards. These are single-use utility cards that can, well, alter the game. You can generally play as many as you'd like during your turn, but be aware of restrictions that may hinder which alter cards can be played. And finally, we have the green ambush cards. These cards have unique triggers. If those conditions are met, you may play it at any time directly from your hand. You may choose not to play the card. However, that means you will need to wait for its trigger to activate once again. Those 5 card types make up what is referred to as your battle deck. There is a second deck called the support deck. This is made up of your mana, element, and status cards, which are used to track specific changes in gameplay. Unlike the cards in your battle deck, these do not get sent to the discard pile, but are placed back into the support deck. We'll briefly cover mana, status effects, and the elements here. Refer to the full rulebook for a more detailed look at these. The first is mana. These are what fuel most of your actions during the game. You have a maximum of 10 and gain 2 at the start of your turn. 3 status effects could affect your class cards, hindering their ability to fight. Paralysis prevents all actions, silence prevents most operations, and poison inflicts damage once per turn. When afflicted, place the correct status card underneath your class card. They will expire after 3 turns, or you can use mana to remove them faster. Finally, there are 8 elements in the game, and each element has an opposite. When a class card is under the influence of one, their damage output under certain conditions can be increased. Like statuses, when an element is active, place the correct element card underneath your class card. Now it's time to battle. The following segment will review a standard setup. While this will be normal for most games, there may be variations. Please see the rulebook for complete details. Start by separating your battle deck and support deck on the battlefield like so. From the battle deck, each player will choose 2 class cards and place them on the field face down. When you have those cards selected, shuffle your battle deck. Then place it on the field and draw 5 cards. If you don't like what you drew, you have up to 3 mulligans where you can reshuffle your hand back into your deck and draw again. Every other player then has the option to draw another card for each mulligan you perform. Once the field has been set, all players will flip over their class cards and set their battle points to 200. Now the first turn begins. Each turn begins with the preparation phase. If any of your class cards are poisoned, inflict the damage. If this defeats your class card, send it to the discard pile and adjust your battle points. Afterward, draw a card from your deck. If you have no cards to pull at the start of your turn, reshuffle your hand and your discard pile into a new deck. Afterward, only draw 3 cards. Remember, this action is only for the draw at the start of your turn. If you don't have enough in your deck to satisfy a card's draw effect, it cannot be done. Lastly, give yourself 2 mana. From this point, what to do is entirely up to the player. You can do any of the following in any order. Review cards in your discard pile. You can play as many altar cards as you'd like, barring restrictions. Use a class ability. Play class cards if you have less than 3 on the field. If you have no class cards on the field and can't play one, you can perform a battle rally. See the rulebook for details. And last but not least, you can remove status effects for the correct mana costs. Once you're ready to move on, begin the battle phase. Before you commit, remember you cannot do any of the previous actions once you move into this phase. The number of actions you may take during this phase is entirely related to the number of class cards you have on the field. Each class card takes 1 action. For example, we have a Lancer and a Wizard in play. This means we have a total of 2 actions. When announcing your actions, it's essential to be clear about what class card is doing what and which target it affects. With that in mind, here are the possible actions you can take during the battle phase. Use a class card's basic attack. Use a combat card. Use an essence card, but only once per turn. Use a class ability. Does your target have no class cards in play? You can choose to inflict 5 battle points of damage directly for each action you have left. Remember though, if the player has class cards in play, they must be targeted first. Once your available actions have been completed, we'll move on to the last part of your turn, the transition phase. Were any class cards defeated? If so, remember to adjust the battle points. If any card effects expire, do so. Were your class cards affected by any status effects? If this is their third turn, those effects are no longer active. From here, the game will be passed to the next player, and the process will begin again. If a player's battle points hit 0, they're done. The last player or team left standing will then be declared the winner. Thank you for joining us on this brief overview of the game. Remember to have fun and ask yourselves just one question. Do you have what it takes to be the Crystal Champion?